Hey, what's up, guys? Just got done up here at the Saints for Friday's Access. Kind of a quiet day overall. Players are getting ready to get out of town here, so wasn't a lot of interesting stuff to come out of the locker room today. Rizzy talked a little bit, mentioned a couple things that were probably of interest. It doesn't sound like Kendre Miller is going to be limited really in any capacity this week. He said that he's had a good week of practice. Everything's been ramping up, and it looks like he'll be good to go this weekend. So that's something that I think is really important for the team overall, because obviously Taysom Hill's out, and they're going to have to find a way to get creative with how they manufacture some offense in the running game. And that offense is so depleted right now with no Taysom, no Olave, no Shaheed. You can't really just be so entirely Alvin Kamara dependent. At a certain point, all you really got to do then is just take away MVS, and then you try to stop Alvin, and that cuts the head off the offense. So you need to find a way to just be able to do some interesting things. And, obviously Taysom was the guy that was the focal point of the offense in some regards. He was the guy that made it interesting, that allowed you to do some different things. He allowed you to go into your 2-minute drill and be in your 12 personnel, because he can move around and do some different things. And that's really not something that a lot of teams are able to do. A lot of teams aren't able to go out there in a hurry up situation, be in your 12 personnel, and be able to make that work. So he was the guy that you could do that with. And without him, it makes the whole offense a little bit more interesting. So they need to find a way to manufacture some of that stuff. Rizzy talked earlier this week, said, they'll still have some of their Wildcat stuff in there and everything. And we've seen that before with them direct snapping to Alvin Kamara. And boy, would I love to see Alvin take a snap and pitch to Kendre. That would be just a really, really fascinating type of offense. So he's going to get back out there. He's going to play, and we're going to see what he can do. And Kendre, like I said yesterday, Kendre being able to go down the field and be able to do a lot of different things and show what he can do overall, I think that would be a huge thing just in terms of the future of this offense and just what he's able to do within it. He's one of the more interesting guys down the stretch as far as, his future and what his role with the team is going to look like down the line. So he's someone that has a lot to prove still. He can show that. I think the most important thing for him, not just in terms of the team, but as far as staying healthy as well, I think that's the big thing for him. If he can show that health element and he's able to do, what he can do on the field, I think it gives the team more confidence in him, but I think it would give himself more confidence in himself. Just knowing that he can play and that his body isn't going to betray him, and he's going to be able to go out there and produce, that helps. That puts you in a spot where then I think people can start making plans for you a little bit, and they can start looking down the line at hey, this is a player that's on the team. He's kind of in a place now. If he doesn't produce, I talk about this a lot. You look at guys and you kind of put them on the roster, but they're and I don't use this phrase in a disrespectful term, but there's some guys that you put on the roster just due to health because you don't know if they're going to play or not, and you just kind of have to consider them as a zero. And right now, you can't really make plans as if Kendre is going to be part of your team. And if he can do something over this final stretch, whoever the next coach is, maybe they can look at that and they can envision him as something, and he can be something, and you can build some stuff for him, and you can kind of view him as part of the solution instead of just a guy that's on the team and that isn't providing a whole ton of value. I think that would be huge for him, just overall, because obviously the talent is incredible. We know what his talent level is, we know what he can be, and he just has to find a way to be on the field. So we're going to see how that kind of comes together for him. I'm really excited to kind of see him get going again down the stretch. Another guy that's kind of you're looking at for the future, who's done some good things, but battling injuries. Bub Means, he is not going to play this week. Maybe we'll see him again next week. That'll be a huge thing to kind of see how that goes for him when he gets back out on the field, because I think there's a massive opportunity there now for him, just with what that receiver room looks like, and getting him out there and getting him going. Same thing. Like it allows you to start building towards something and start that evaluation of what he could be in the future. So that's going to be kind of interesting for him. The most important thing I think this week, though, and I'm kind of like burying it here, Neighbors didn't practice today for the Giants. You take him out of the equation, and this game becomes a lot easier. And I don't know how to feel about that one, because like I'm looking at the draft status or whatever. Like obviously Neighbors playing gives the Giants a better chance, but I don't think the Saints were ever really going to lose this game. There's no way that I was ever picking against them in this type of situation. So, I mean, it just kind of is what it is there on that one. But I'm disappointed that he's not playing, because I really want to see what Alante and Kool-Aid are going to do down the stretch. And that's a good test. Like it's Drew Lock at quarterback, obviously. So the quality of test is already decimated a little bit. But matching up against a guy like that, like being able to cover him, stop him, all that stuff, I mean, that's big. And now you're taking the ability to kind of look at that and figure it out and see what it could be. And you're taking it out of the mix a little bit. So that's a little bit disappointing overall. So, yeah, I don't know. I wanted to see him out there. I wanted to see that matchup. I was excited to see it. As a fan of the sport, like I just want to watch Neighbors. I want to see him in person, see what he can do. Just kind of going back to New York, like one of the first guys that ever made like an insane impression on me, just like in their ability to move. And I thought just watching him warm up, Odell, like just watching him warm up for a game, like it was captivating just in the way that he was able to like move. Like there's some guys, man, like you out to these games or whatever, and obviously it's like a field of just supreme, incredible athletes, the best in the world at what they do. Like humans that are like straight up just not like the rest of us, and they're out there, and every now and then you'll get a guy like just the way he runs, he moves, he jumps, like it pops and stands out. And when you see that, it is absolutely like it's incredible, it's captivating. Odell absolutely was one of them dudes. I covered the NBA for a little bit. Kobe was one. Like, man, Kobe came out there. It just looked like he was like gliding when he walked. Like it just, like he's one of them guys where it's like you can almost see like their aura, man. Like it's just kind of like they glow different than everybody else. And Odell was one of them guys with just the way he moved. And I don't know, like I'm not saying Neighbors is one of them dudes or whatever, but it just kind of made me think of that like impression going back to New York. Every time I go there, I just kind of think about Odell and how good he was, and he was definitely one of them guys. So on topic though, yeah, I'm disappointed that we're not going to be able to see this matchup, because like I really want to evaluate these corners. Like I really want to know what they can do, and like the tougher the test, the better it is, because like you want to get to the end of the season, and I don't want us to be sitting around going like, well, man, like I don't know, like maybe it's Alante, maybe it's Kool-Aid, like maybe those guys are good as a duo, maybe you don't need to bring a Debo back, maybe, like I just want to know. I want to be like, nah, man, like we saw what they could do against Cup and Puka, and there were a couple down moments for both, but it was fine overall. But man, then they shut down Neighbors, and then against the Commanders they did this, and Jordan Love didn't. Like I want each one of them tests to be as tough as possible. So when we go up there to Green Bay right before Christmas, like I'm hoping that the weather isn't so bad that it's just like a straight up running game, because I want them tests. I want to know what these guys are and what they can do, and I want to have like sure thing, solid answers, and not be guessing at it. Because like when you're picking there at 9, 10, 11, whatever it's going to end up being, if you can scratch cornerback off that list, it's a good thing. So Neighbors not playing makes it easier for the Saints to win. don't necessarily get that big test. So that's a little bit disappointing. The other thing that happened yesterday, which I thought was really kind of fascinating, is that Belichick interviewed at North Carolina, which I don't know. I don't know if that's like a thing to kind of get his name out there or whatever, kind of keep him in the mix, kind of make the North Carolina job look a little bit more appealing. Like, whether real or not, like Belichick interviewing for that thing kind of puts it on the map a little bit more, and that's going to make it more appealing to other people. I do think Bill would probably be a great college coach. Like, if you want to go somewhere and just kind of coach the hell out of some people and like build a program or whatever, that's, that college rank's kind of interesting. I think the transfer portal's changed it a little bit, because it's not like you can just coach people hard as hell and if people don't like it, they can leave. I think NIL makes it a little bit different, but a place like North Carolina, like, I don't think there's probably a ton of people, and I don't know, man, like, it could already be happening, so I might be talking out of my ass here, but I think you can probably program build there and kind of keep your guys around a little bit. So it would be interesting to see him on that level. I definitely do think that he'd be able to recruit. Obviously, again, the NIL stuff, like, money's probably not there the same way in North Carolina as it is some other places. It's not like a historically great program or whatever, but I do think that you send Belichick to someone's house. I think there's a decent chance of him, getting some kids. It would be fascinating to see, though. Like, it would be absolutely fascinating to see what he could do there. Does that take him out of the mix of NFL jobs? I don't think so until he signs somewhere. I don't know if he's actually really an option here anyhow. I do think if you could get him to take an interview, though, like, you have to interview him. I mean, you have to talk to that dude. He is Bill Belichick. That name carries weight. He is a good coach. It ended super, super, super weird in New England, though, and I thought some of his decisions there at the end were crazy. Maybe even like borderline a little bit arrogant, honestly, thinking you can take a DC and make him an OC and stuff like that. Like, it got a little bit weird there at the end. I'm sure there's been some lessons learned, you would hope, just from him on that level of figuring out, what can and can't work or whatever. But it's definitely kind of interesting on that front. I think it's kind of interesting, too, that there's like weird stuff about Shanahan now. There's been a lot of talk about him, like, I don't know, like, not working in San Fran, and it's become a talking point. I think that's insane. I don't see any way that he gets fired. Someone asked me if they should trade for him. I think if you could trade for Kyle Shanahan, I would trade whatever to get him, honestly. I mean, I think he's that good of a coach. I mean, he makes it possible that Brock Purdy is a starter, and I think Brock's become good, but it takes really good coaching to make that happen. And I don't think that Brock Purdy becomes Brock Purdy under anybody else. I don't think Jimmy Garoppolo is a Super Bowl quarterback under anybody else. We saw that, and he made that stuff happen. I think there's probably some stuff he's done in San Fran that hasn't worked, but if that dude is available, trade everything for him, go get him, make him the head coach, pay him whatever he wants. Like, there's no salary cap on coaches. If you could get somebody like that, it'd be insane. But I don't think that's a realistic thing. But it's wild to me that that's become a talking point. I just don't see how they would let him go. I haven't followed that situation closely enough to really know. Like, I know it's dipped a little bit, but boy, I for a long time it seems like he's the best coach in the NFL, the most influential coach in the NFL right now, and that talk seems absolutely insane to me. I don't see any way that they let him go. I don't care what happens down the stretch. It would have to go really, really toxic, and I just don't see how that's a possibility for him. So, Giants this weekend. Saints are flying out there today, so they'll get a head start on that, get a little bit acclimated to the weather back in Rizzy's hometown. So, excuse me, that's kind of cool for him. He gets to go back and coach in front of his hometown and everything. little bit of hoopla going on there for him. You know, get some hype going for him in his hometown. So that's kind of cool, and it's a good game for him to get that going. You know, I think it's a good game for the tackles too. Get some good tests there. Burns probably against Penning, Thibodeau against Fuaga a little bit. So we'll see that. Got the offensive line pretty much back in place. Cesar Ruiz cleared concussion protocol. That's a good sign. McCoy looks like he'll be a full go. Lucas Patrick back out there. So maybe it sets up for Alvin to start that run towards the 2,000-yard season. I think he needs to average 131.5 over the next 5 games. He's at 112 a game. Yards from scrimmage, 2,000 overall. I think he's definitely going to get that rushing first 1,000-yard season. He's coming up on it, but some of that passing protection or pass catching needs to help kind of carry the way. Kind of got to stop dropping a couple passes. We seen that last week a little bit uncharacteristic for him. I have no doubt he'll get that cleaned up though. A couple of them passes too look like they were a little behind him, a little low too. But yeah, he's already at 894. So man, he might hit a G this. He might get to a G this weekend if they give him enough carries. It would take a big game, obviously, but it's not out of the realm of possibility. It's kind of crazy. I mean, he's averaging 74.5 per game, so it wouldn't be like insane for him to get to that mark. It's kind of crazy to me that he's as good as he is and has played as long as he has, and he's held in the esteem that he's held in that 1,000-yard season has never come. And obviously that's, you know, due to the way he's used and it's split, and he's been committee and was committee early in his career. It's just kind of wild that, you know, it's just an anomaly, I guess is the word I would say. Just like a little bit of something that you wouldn't expect. You know, someone told you that and you weren't like really well versed. Like if you're like a Minnesota Vikings fan, like you probably assume that he's had a 1,000-yard season. You probably go look at that page, you're like, oh shit, like he's never hit that mark. Like never would have expected that. So yeah, it's kind of interesting overall, but yeah, I like how this game sets up. Saints are 4.5 point favorites. I think they'll probably end up winning this one, and we'll see where it goes from there. I mean, they got some tough games coming off of that. Commanders, obviously, and then up to Green Bay. So if Rizzy's going to make a run at it, he really has to make a run at it starting right now. And this is a big game for him to get. I mean, it's kind of that free space on the board, and you got to make sure you take it. I don't really think the Giants are doing everything they can to win games right now. So you can't lose to a team like this. You just can't. Like you just can't do it. So see what happens this weekend. We're gonna have all your coverage for you guys. I'll have the pregame show. Probably gonna run that one solo again, like I did before the last game. Just hit it. So we aren't standing outside in cold temperatures or whatever. Trying to figure that out. So probably run that solo pregame. Then we'll have the post game show. Mike will be in the studio here. I'll be out at the game doing it from there. All the coverage during the game, live blog, all that stuff. I mean, if you guys are signed up to the site and you're still watching this video, please sign up to the site. That's how everybody gets paid. That's how we make all this content. And in a bad season, man, we really need the support from you guys. So go to NewOrleans.Football /subscribe. Use the code NOF. Save 20% on your first payment. If you already signed up, tell a friend. Buy them a gift subscription. Like, we really need you guys to support the site. I mean, we're trying to do the best content possible. And like, I know the team sucks and they're not compelling and all that stuff, but that's when we like really need you guys the most, because they aren't helping us. Like they ain't getting people signed up with how they're playing. So if you're watching this in minute 19, a dude driving home from work, and you aren't signed up, please sign up. I promise you it's worth it. Our coverage there is better than it is out here on the free stuff. And we really need you guys sign up for the site. So yeah, be with us during the game. We got everything you're going to need during it, the live blog, all that stuff, all the coverage after. And I appreciate y'all. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll talk to you guys.